I am David Attenborough. I've had the most extraordinary life. It's only now that I appreciate how extraordinary. The living world is a unique and spectacular marvel. Yet the way we humans live on Earth is sending it into a decline. Human beings have overrun the world.
So David Attenborough, what an absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you. Thank you so much. Where are we with the planet right now? How would you summarise? How would you assess it?
Since I made the first-rate television programme, there's 3 times as many people on the planet as there was then. And we have overrun it. And now we're realising what appalling damage we've done. And after realising the damage, we're realising how much we are dependent upon the natural world. For everything we do, I mean, every breath of air we take, every mouthful of food we eat, comes from the natural world, ultimately. And if we damage it, we damage ourselves.
When did you realise that we were very possibly on that path, as far as you see it?
I think the first time that I had absolutely indubitable proof was when back in the 60s, I suppose, when I swam on a reef, a coral reef in Australia, and saw a damaged reef. And it's a terrible sight. It's like a cemetery, because what was colourful coral and so on, swarms of wonderful fish, have now become bleached white. Now, they can recover, but not from repeated assaults of the increases in temperature. And that was a sign to me that humanity is capable of exterminating whole communities, enormous communities of living creatures, just like that. I've been making television programs, and certainly for the last 20, 30 years, I've ended each of them by saying, look, the world is in peril. Look, we are damaging it, and it's all our humanity's fault, and very little has happened. And yet suddenly, within the last 5 years maybe, suddenly it's as though people have been woken up. And it's young people, really. It's young people who are shaping their consciences, and not before time. Hello. My name is David Attenborough, and I've been appearing on radio and television for the past 60 years. But this is my first time on Instagram. And I'm making this move and exploring this new way of communication to me because, as we all know, the world is in trouble.
Congratulations, you are the fastest person to get to 1 million followers on Instagram. I don't know if you know that.
I read it in the paper this morning.
So, why Instagram and why now?
Well, I'm so old that it's difficult to teach an old dog new tricks, you know. And I'm not a great user of social media, and I haven't used Instagram before. But the message that I'm concerned about is so important. I'll use any medium to get it.
In 2050, if we carry on this path that we all are on, how bad will it be? What will our planet look like?
Well, one of the things that will happen is that the world will get hotter and hotter and hotter. And that's not news. I mean, that's been happening for a very long time. And deserts are spreading. Why are people coming across the Mediterranean in such numbers, looking for less hot places and more fertile places where they can grow their own food? Because the world is changing. So that is one thing. But also, we are so clever, so ingenious, we can now strip the seas in an industrial way, strip it of all the fish that are there. They're reducing it in such numbers that you effectively destroy the population.
You seem to have, and there's a particular moment in the film where we can really get a sense of your feeling of grief, but you don't despair, do you? Why not?
I don't despair because what would you go and do? Just go and hide in the corner, crying in the corner and forgetting it all and giving up. I mean, we have a responsibility. And if there's only a fragment of hope left, you have a responsibility to do something about it, which is why we're here.
In the face of, huge countries like China or Brazil or the United States doing something entirely different, it seems irrelevant sometimes.
Well, we have to do what's in our power. We can't take that as an excuse for doing nothing. We must do everything that all of us can do and must do. And China is taking very big steps, in many directions. It's a huge country with an immense population. And they're starting doing things about sorting out their climate and their weather, which have caused them such problems. So China is moving in the right direction. I agree that the present administration in America is, from a conservationist point of view, disastrous. But there we are. I mean, that's who've been elected, and we have to go through it.
You talk about cost because there is also personal cost, and you talk about making changes to our lives. What was the thing that you've changed that has sort of cost you personally the most?
I would like to think, for the last 6 months now, I've hardly moved out of this house, so I can't pretend that I've changed my transport behavior very much, but we are doing so, aren't we? I'm not flying away to all sorts of places.
And how would you describe lockdown life?
Well, I can't plead a bad time. I think of when I was newly married, with a couple of kids and in a flat with just 2 rooms and no garden, and think of what it would be like at the thought of the oncoming autumn and winter that's going to lie ahead of us, having already been locked away for 6 months. I mean, that seems to me a pretty tough number. I know it's inevitable. I know it has to happen. And many people are having a much worse time than I am. I mean, I am lucky. I have a garden, I have a house, and we're surviving. My daughter and I are surviving very well. But it's going to be very, very rough for people. But one does miss seeing people and talking to people and, having one's friends around, just walking around and seeing other people.
You've got lots of books to read, haven't you, in the next few months? Have you read them all?
I've left chapter 13. I've not finished it yet.
Can we talk a little bit about Extinction Rebellion? Because you talk about, lobbying MPs and all of that. What about direct action?
In getting it changed, you have to be careful that you don't break the law, I think. And I also think that we have to treat the people we share our community with respect, and disturbing their lives to such an extent that innocent people can't get about their own business is a serious thing to do, and could disenchant an awful lot of people.
Through, for example, like Instagram and other ways of social media, you do have a chance, don't you, to reach out to a different audience. But there is a real sense, because we've had so many people get in touch with us with questions from you, that the younger generation seem to be, many of them are on board. How does that make you feel?
Oh, well, I mean, that's the great hope. I mean, that is the most important hope, the most important place where there should be hope. It's their world, and it's there tomorrow. I won't be there. They will be. It's theirs. And if they aren't persuaded that it's important, we're wasting our time. Of course, it's very important that the young people should be concerned about this. And they are in increasing numbers. It's extraordinarily touching.
So what we've got, they've sent little videos, all these children, and they're just absolutely adorable.
Hi, David. I'm 14. I'm 5. I'd like to know what your favourite place is and how's it changed.
My favourite place was a woodland in the middle of England, and it had rocks around it which are full of fossils, wonderful things, shells, some of them big ones. And sometimes you could hit a rock. Sometimes they were sitting out there, and you just turned over the rock, and there it was, and it was You were the first person ever to see that, and it hadn't seen the sun for maybe 150 million years. Think about that.
Hi, my name's Elliot and I'm 6 years old and I have a question. What's your favourite dinosaur?
Well, Elliot, there was a huge animal that flew over the dinosaurs as big as a small aeroplane called Quetzalcoatlus. And it had huge wings, just as big as an aeroplane. And it was the biggest animal that ever flew. And none of us could work out how it could get into the ground, get off the ground, because how do you beat the wing? Because it goes bang on the ground and it doesn't lift you up. It's a mystery.
Hello, David. My name is Danae and I'm 3 years old. And what's your favourite animal?
I don't really have a favorite animal, to be truthful, but there's a fish I'm very fond of called, what's it called now? It's called the weedy sea dragon. And it lives in the seas of South Australia, and it's about that long, and its fins look exactly like bits of seaweed.
Hi, my name is Harry and I'm 11 years old and I want to work in zoology, but with the current climate crisis, I would like to know if there will be any animals left in the wild to study.
There will certainly be enough animals individually. There won't be as many different animals as we have now. I can be pretty sure of that. But we need to study them. We need to know all we can about them in order to protect them and help them. So I hope you do go to university and you do study zoology and you do help in the struggle to care for nature.
I am William and I'm 4 years old. Who do you think would run out of a lion, a hippopotamus and a rhino?
Well, it would depend whether they're in the river or not, wouldn't it? I mean, if they were in the river, it would be the hippopotamus. If they were on land, I think it would be the lion. But I'm not sure, actually, because the hippopotamus is very big, weighs and much more than a lion. So if it rolled over and got the lion underneath it, the lion wouldn't like that very much.
Hi, David. My name is called Evie and I'm 4 years old. And what's the biggest spider ever in the whole wide world? And my mummy doesn't like spiders.
Well, I can see why your mummy doesn't like spiders, though there are none in this country that bite you. Oh, there's one certainly in South America, which is as big as your hand, really. And very hairy legs. And you don't want to mess with that because that one does have a nasty bite.
If there's one choice to make today, what choice would you like people to make?
Don't waste. Don't waste anything. Don't waste electricity. Don't waste food. Don't waste power. Just treat the natural world as though it's precious, which it is, and don't squander those bits of it that we have control of.